Hello guys, and welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to teach you how you can make your very own animations. This is tutorial number 0, where we're going to start with Wick Editor, introduce all the tools and other stuff. So let's get started. So go into your address bar of your browser of choice and type in wickeditor.com. It should bring you to a page called Wick. It says Wick Editors, games, animations, and everything in between. This is my new animation software. I previously used a software called Flip-a-Clip, but due to its inability to have powerful features, I moved away from it. Anyways, this Wick Editor is a web editor and allows you to make animations online. Click the Launch Web Editor button. You can close out the previous tab. Now, click Try It. Click X button when the pop-up appears. Here you are. Now, this is Wick Editor, a program to make animations. This tutorial, I'm only going to teach you all the tools and the ways you use it. So let's start. This is the cursor tool. It allows you to select items. Let's say, for example, I was already a Wick Editor Pro and I had this giant square that I wanted to access. I'll teach you how to make this square a bit later. As you just saw, when I selected it, it said Inspector, Path, Origin X, Origin Y, X, Y, Width Scale, W Scale, Height, Rotation, Opacity, Fill, Opacity, Stroke, Weight, Make, Button, Make, Clip. That's a whole lot of stuff. Just ignore most of the stuff at the top. You usually don't really change that. But you know what? For now, just ignore everything. What my point is that these cursor tool will allow you to inspect its properties and change them. We'll actually get to how you can change fill, stroke, opacity, and weight in a minute. But until then, you're gonna have to sit tight because this tutorial isn't over. Anyways, I'm just gonna delete that. We have next our brush tool. This allows you to draw. This is what you'll be using for drawing. I'll say in advance, this pencil tool here, do not use it. Anyways, I'm assuming you're on a laptop, but you can also be on a touchscreen device. Anyways, in either case, what I want you to do is I want you to set your brush stroke size to 20. This is the brush stroke size. The smoothing variable is how much it smooths your things when you draw. You'll see if I draw something, it auto smooths it. Just leave it at 20. It's really nice. Also, don't draw too fast. Or also get polygon effects. See? It kind of look like straight lines. So you may want to draw just a bit slower. There will be a few polygons, but it makes a nice splotchy effect. Now we have 3 buttons. This one is brush mode, which we'll get into later. Okay. So then just don't worry about them. This is the relative brush size. You want you to click so that it's disabled. And this is enable pressure or disable pressure. If you have a one of those Wacom drawing tablets or a pen with pressure sensitivity, this is the thing for you, as it will automatically detect the pressure levels from your brush. Now, personally, I don't have it. I'm drawing with the mouse for this tutorial, so I'm just going to leave that unchecked, but you can check it on your own. Now, click and drag or tap and drag to start drawing. You can draw many, many things. The brush tool is probably going to be one of your most largest tools, so it should take the time to master it. You don't need to have any fancy gear like a drawing tablet, but it will take a while to get used to things such as drawing with a mouse. I've been doing it for a while, but even I'm not master. Maybe try writing something or something like that. Anyways, Control Z, by the way, is to undo. You can also hit these arrows. Why did I uncheck relative brush size? Because you might not know what that is, and I think I should actually explain that in this tutorial. When you have it checked, which sometimes is useful, you'll draw like a face of this thingy. I don't know what this is. It's just be drawing something. And then you'll have like something where you want to add detail. because you can't seem to get it right from the outside. Now when you zoom in, which you can do by holding space and scrolling, or by using the zoom feature on the side, or by clicking Z, and then keep continuously clicking, and then back to your previous tool. B is to activate the brush tool, by the way. You can see my brush size thing doesn't change. So technically, it's the same size relative to our perspective. So then if I click this button to recenter the canvas, you can see that's actually thinner than what we need. Now, whilst this is sometimes useful, most times it isn't. But as you can see, if we turn off relative brush size and delete everything, which you can do by doing Control A and then clicking backspace, or by tapping and dragging from outside the canvas, or by tapping and dragging from outside the canvas to select the whole thing, and then clicking the delete icon, then the black canvas. Now, this time I want you to redraw without relative brush size checked. And now let's say I want to add detail. I'll just zoom in, and as you can see, the brush size is changing as well. Now we just draw this or this. Also, quick thing, you can also scroll without holding space. You can also pan around the drawing, that is, move around the drawing by holding space and clicking and dragging. When you zoom in, you'll notice the drawing doesn't get pixelated at all. Maybe there's a little pixels, but those we just use your display. There's really no pixels because this is a vector software. That means it stores your drawing as a series of mathematics. And that's how it creates infinite drawing in. That's right. So rather than always having to be careful whatever you draw, you can just zoom in and you'll see everything in close detail, which, if I'm being honest, is really nice. Now with the next tool, the eraser tool, which is how we'll erase whatever we draw. You know that the eraser tool, remember that relative brush size thing? It kind of has it enabled and you can't really disable it. So that's a bit not so useful, but we'll deal with it. If we have a brush, then we can use this slider after hovering over it to maybe change the brush size and then just erase it, really. You'll notice that it does create these white things outside the canvas, but when you're done using it and you let go, as you can see, they disappear. Now let's move on to our next tool, which will allow us to create rectangles and circles. Mark just the next two tools, but yeah. That is the rectangle tool right now. By clicking R or just clicking on the icon, you can create rectangles. Now, do note that when you're creating rectangles, you can create two types. One is when you just click and drag and it'll let you select the top left and bottom right corner. Another is where you can hold shift, and next thing you know, you have a perfect square. That's sort of controlled the same way. It kind of comes to you laterally. And you can use this, after clicking and dragging, to create various nice shapes. In fact, this is pretty nice of a feature, so I'd suggest that you use it. Next, we have the ellipse tool, a tool that I use quite often. Let's make an ellipse. When we click and drag, it's basically the same thing, except now there's no corners. It's as if there's an invisible box and 4 points of the ellipse are chained to it. Like if we make an ellipse, let go, open our cursor and select it, these 4 points, and there's a box. It's kind of like that box is what you're editing when you're making the ellipse. And that's how you create all these circles. Perfect circle, just hold shift, similar to the rectangle tool, to make a perfect square. You can then edit its properties, which we'll actually get to. later. Next, we have the line tool. Let's set this thickness to 20 and draw a line. Nice, that's really all it is to it. It can draw straight lines, but if you want to draw perfect curved lines with only one real curve, then you can select this path cursor, which allows you to edit things you've drawn, such as this, maybe that's ellipse, and maybe a squiggle. You can edit it. You can curve this line and move its points in other places. You can edit the parts of this shape, make it really how you want it. You can edit that. You can edit this curve here, which we've drawn with the brush tool. You can edit the small nodes, that are like in it. See? Like this, maybe. I don't know how useful this really is, but every now and then when you need to make small edits, I guess this is useful on the brush tool. I found it most useful when you're using the line tool though. Let's undo all that. Delete everything. Now we have the text tool, which allows us to type text. Yay! Then when you select it, you can resize it and other things. We notice that it is a free resize, meaning it doesn't preserve the properties. You can even flip the actual text. If you let go, it's done. So that's kind of cool, I guess. But if you hold shift, then it'll maintain the properties, which is also kind of nice. Also, if you click the text tool and then click on it, then you can really edit it. It's also quite useful. Nice. What else is there? Well, there's also a fill bucket. Now, notice that this fill bucket works with computation. So if I draw something with a hole and I want to fill this, well, there's a hole. So when I try using the fill bucket, let's say to fill it in, you'll see it doesn't actually work. But if I use it on something else that is a curved shape that is already full, then what you'll see is that it actually works. And that after a little loading, it does the job. Actually, it doesn't do the job completely, as in every now and then, when you're trying to make it fill really complicated shapes or something, that it may fail. Like there, as you can see, didn't do all the way. There's actually a little white space. But usually you can cover up with the brush tool and a little bit of tricks. And yeah. So that's nice to know. One trick you can use with this is you can draw. Sometimes I'll do this when I'm making black and white drawings. I'll draw the mouth, I'll draw the tongue, and then I'll fill this whole main area. Let's actually make that a good curve. Here's another trick while we're at it. If you hold the line tool, use it to create the start and end points of a curve. You can click the path cursor and bend it. You can really edit it to make a perfect curve. But anyways, and then I fill this area here black for the most part. Then, as you can see, we got kind of nice mouth with the teeth and everything. That's nice. We still have two tools to get one more tool to get through. Now, let's say you drew like something black, and then let's change fill color like yellow, maybe. That's how you change colors, by the way. Yellow, and then you do something green. But then you use this other tool, spectrum. Got a really cool color. that has really custom properties, and you do it that, like, yay. Then then you're on another tool and you're just like, have black and you want to get that color. If you click the eyedropper, then you can actually get that color. Do you notice that they won't save opacity? So that's not that well. But don't think negative, as also when you use the eyedropper to select the color, it'll automatically switch back to the tool you were previously using, which is annoying things that don't happen automatically in other softwares. So that's nice. And let's do the best way of demonstrating this, which is to draw an example drawing. I'm gonna make this really, really simple. Just a person. I won't even draw his arms. So let's start by drawing an ellipse for the head. Notice how it's filled in? Let's fix that. Here, see how this is fill, right? This is going to allow you to change the fill color, which can be any color. Notice how it's an outline, which is actually the stroke. Now, for you, this value here will be set to 1, so might as well do that for the example. Anyways, fill, this will allow you to change the color. This will allow you to change the opacity, or how transparent it is. Let's set that to 0 to make it go away. And set the stroke weight to 20 for a nice thick circle. Notice there's 2 opacity meters, as this one changing the opacity of the full circle, rather than the opacity of just the fill. Now let's put that right here. Maybe scale it down a bit first, and then put it down here. Now let's make his body. I'm actually going to use the line tools and do this kind of thing where I mark the start and end point of the curves. Then I take the path cursor and just bend them with the trick I did earlier. Then for the eyes, I'll use the brush tool along with mouth. I'll use the trick I did earlier with the mouth. So let's zoom in. And then let's use the fill. It doesn't do very well in small shapes. You'll just have to fill up those holes. I still feel like there's a few small holes left, but I don't know. And then, yeah, I guess that's a really good demonstration for this tutorial. We haven't covered any animation, but don't worry. We'll be animating pretty nice stuff in the next tutorial. But for now, that's really it. So I guess it's the end. So bye. But wait, before you leave, can you do me a quick favor? All you have to do is like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell. That's all. Thanks for watching, and the New York Comics is out.